Britain's most iconic figure, and her beloved princess.
She is somebody that really is the heartbeat of this modern monarchy.
A caring friendship.
Right from the beginning, Kate actually had a lot more in common personality-wise with Queen Elizabeth.
Born out of service and an unflinching devotion to their country.
I think the Queen saw her strength, saw she was a caring person, and the Queen also saw she had this amazing affiliation to duty.
An unbreakable bond.
The Princess of Wales was given this honour by Queen Elizabeth. It just shows how strong their relationship was.
In sickness and in health.
It was a way of reaching across the emptiness to say, I'm here, I'm thinking of you.
How did these two incredible women influence each other so deeply?
Kate's on-the-job education was guided by the Queen.
And inspire a nation.
We have really seen the fact that the Queen does live on in Kate. And I think her poise, her standing amid all those challenges is really reminiscent of the Queen.
On the 29th of April 2011, the world witnessed the event of the century. The wedding of the then Kate Middleton to the future King, Prince William.
It was a chilly day. The anticipation was huge. William's wedding came with all the trappings you would expect of a future monarch.
The iconic moment William and Harry took their positions was watched by a global audience in the tens of millions. And one very proud Queen.
It was a golden time for the royal family when there was just so much positivity towards them and so much excitement.
Kate looked stunning. She was on show not just to the people crammed into the church and to Buckingham Palace, but also to the watching world. Millions were tuning in all over the globe.
The splendour of the royal wedding was a far cry from Kate's middle-class upbringing.
She's the first commoner to marry into the royal family so close to the throne. It really is a throwback to the fact that, you know, in the old days, princes only married princesses. And of course, Kate didn't have an aristocratic title. She was just plain Miss Catherine Middleton.
Her family, her parents do come from very humble beginnings.
This classic middle-class Berkshire upbringing, her parents being self-made people.
Kate's early life was in stark contrast to that of the Queen.
She's from the real world, and there is something different about the royals and the rest of us. I mean, if you were brought up with somebody literally cleaning your Wellington boots and wiping the mud off your bicycle, you live in this rarefied world, and I don't think you can help it. But Kate didn't come from that. She came from a really normal, warm family background.
William first laid eyes on Kate in 2001 at the University of St Andrews in Scotland, as cinematically portrayed in Netflix's The Crown.
What's her name?
Kate.
Beautiful Kate.
They were both studying art history to begin with, so we know that she would share notes with him if he missed class. She might sit and have breakfast with him and his friends, for example. That was where their courtship began in earnest.
After 4 years together, the couple graduated, as seen here in photographs taken by the Middleton family. And there was one person at the ceremony who Kate was particularly keen to meet.
The Queen, her monarch, was in the room, and there was always a possibility that at some stage her boyfriend, Willie, may say, come and meet Granny.
It shows you that there was a seriousness about this relationship back then. You don't go introducing the Queen to anyone unless she's important in your life.
It was 3 years later, at the marriage of the Queen's eldest grandson, as captured by the ITN News team, where the two women would formally meet.
The royal wedding
wedding brought two of her realms closer together today. Princess Anne's son, Peter Phillips, tied the knot with Canadian Autumn Kelly.
The key marker point in the story of the relationship between Kate and William is that wedding of Peter Phillips, famously sold to Hello magazine.
We saw Kate talking to Prince Harry's girlfriend, Chelsea at the time, and we could see everyone having a really good time.
The Queen was taking an interest, if you like, in this ongoing relationship.
Sitting down for a warm interview at the time of their engagement, the couple told millions of viewers about Kate's encounter with the Queen.
It was in amongst a lot of other guests, and she was very friendly, and no, it was fine.
She's very welcoming. She knew it was a big day and everything was going on. Peter and Autumn were there and things, and she wanted to meet Kate for a while, so it was very nice of her to come over and say hello.
It tells me that she was a more confident young woman than perhaps we gave her credit for at the time.
What the Queen loved about Kate is very simple. She made William happy. And that's all the Queen wanted, really. I don't believe at all it mattered whether she wasn't a princess or she wasn't part of the landed gentry and she didn't have a title. I'm sure they could not care less.
William and Kate's relationship was developing, and the happy couple were now being seen out together more and more frequently. 1 year after Kate's last meeting with the Queen, Her Majesty invited Kate to her favourite residence, Balmoral Castle.
Balmoral Castle in the Scottish Highlands is very significant. Being invited to Balmoral is a big deal.
It's here in this 50,000-acre estate that the Queen would have had one eye on succession and a suitable wife for William.
This is not a formal exam. They're not ticking stuff off, but you do have to show willing. Going there does mean long, muddy walks and hunting and fishing. If you're going to join this family, this is the sort of stuff we do.
She was being road tested as a future royal. If you can pass the Balmoral test, then you're in there. You're on the way to really being welcomed quite warmly into the royal fold.
It was clear from the outset that the Queen and Kate had many things in common.
I'm sure that Kate and the Queen got along very well because they had plenty of things to talk about. She's very outdoorsy, and she loves cooking and she loves homemade things. So I think the Queen would have been absolutely delighted.
In a heartfelt documentary filmed before the Queen passed away, Kate reflected on her time at Balmoral.
You would expect a lot of grandeur and a lot of fuss and things, but actually what really resonates with me is her love for simple things, the lack of fuss. And I think that's a special quality, I think, to have.
Having passed this royal initiation, Kate was formally accepted into the royal family in 2011. And the world watched as she arrived at Westminster Abbey to marry her prince.
The feeling towards Catherine in the build-up towards the royal wedding was one of great love and excitement and admiration, and she was really an unflappable bride.
I think the Queen was probably very pleased. She knew it was a love match. I think it was so refreshing for her.
The Queen's affection for Kate was front and centre.
Kate obviously looked great. She had the Cartier halo tiara, which was lent to her by the late Queen.
The Queen is making this tremendous gesture. You're obviously honoured and privileged to be wearing it.
She was just delighted with his choice of bride, and I think she felt that Kate would be always there for William and she would always be there for the monarchy. She used to joke that she went down on her knees at night and said, "Thank God for Mrs. Middleton."
Coming up, the hard work begins as Kate learns to be a royal.
They came up with this very clever strategy, which was for Kate to learn on the job. If you want to learn, you might as well learn from the maestro.
And the pressure's on as Kate gets a Christmas invite from the Queen.
Christmas at Sandringham is big.
The Queen gets given so many gifts all the time. You can't just go and buy something lovely. You've got to really think hard.
Kate Middleton captured the hearts of the world when she married Prince William. But the fairy tale wedding was just the start of a life of royal service in one of the most famous families in the world.
The Queen was perfectly aware of how daunting this was for an outsider to come into the family, so they will have had their techniques of making somebody feel at home, and the Queen was very, very good at that.
Taking on an official life of royal duties may have been a daunting prospect for Kate, but in the Queen she had a mentor and guide.
Kate always described Queen Elizabeth as a gentle guidance, and I do kind of feel that that description really sums up what Queen Elizabeth offered when it came to instruction.
I think the Queen saw her strengths. I think the Queen saw that she was a caring person, and the Queen also saw that, you know, she had this amazing affiliation to duty.
As a new member of the royal family, Kate had to quickly learn the Queen's traditions.
Christmas at Sandringham is big. It's the one time where the whole family is together, and the only time they're really seen in public is when they walk to the church on the estate.
People have been queuing overnight to see her, so it was a really big deal.
In news footage, we saw the Queen being driven, but the rest of the family walked, and at the centre, looking poised, was their newest member, Kate.
And making her first appearance at Sandringham for Christmas, the Duchess of Cambridge.
I think that the strategy was not to overwhelm her, not to frighten her, not to expect too much at the beginning, and allow her to find her feet. There's no doubt about it, there is safety in numbers, and she was cocooned by other members of the royal family who were more familiar with what was expected.
Kate may have had a gentle public introduction, but back at the house, she had to navigate the challenge of what to give the Queen as a present. In a 2016 interview, Kate explained how nervous she was.
I can remember again being at Sandringham for the first time at Christmas, and I was worried what to give the Queen as her Christmas present. And I was thinking, gosh, what should I give her?
The Queen is very practical. She gets given so many gifts all the time. The last thing she wants is for her family to spend money on finding gifts for her. You can't just go and buy something lovely. You've got to really think hard.
Kate understood the Queen and knew that a thoughtful homemade present would win her heart.
I decided to make my granny's recipe of chutney, and was slightly worried about it. But I noticed the next day that it was on the table, and I think such a simple gesture went such a long way for me.
Something so small and seemingly trivial actually says a huge amount about the late Queen. She was an ordinary countrywoman who was also the head of state, and she loved the fact that Catherine brought her the Middleton chutney as her Christmas gift.
I think it tells you that Kate was a smart cookie. For the Queen, I think she would have been impressed. She would have thought, well, this is a girl who wants to be part of this family, is trying to understand our rather quaint traditions. We should support her.
Stepping into the heart of the royal family with all its potential pitfalls is no easy task. But for Kate, this transition was eased by the Queen.
Queen Elizabeth gave William and Kate quite a lot of leeway to figure out for themselves the path that they wanted to take. But at the same time, she also had this really kind of steady hand at offering guidance when it was necessary.
I think it would have never gone unnoticed, the Queen's efforts to make Catherine feel comfortable at such a challenging time. So any guidance, especially from someone who had been in the role for so many years, who had so much experience, who was so respected worldwide, would have been immensely helpful and appreciated.
The following year was the Queen's Diamond Jubilee. Even though Kate was still very new to the family, the various events to mark this huge milestone helped cement their special bond.
The one thing that people really remember about the Diamond Jubilee is the river pageant. It was windy and wet and raining, but Kate looked wonderful. She had a red Alexander McQueen dress and she looked stupendous. I think the Queen was just so grateful that she was there. And I think the fact that Kate was there representing the youth and beauty of what the future of the monarchy is going to be like was really important to the Queen.
That year also provided the perfect opportunity for Kate to learn the ropes directly from the monarch.
I think the Jubilee year of 2012 was the breakout year for Kate's development and emergence from a chrysalis, if you like, into a fully fledged royal butterfly. There was still a good deal of caution. They didn't want to do too much too soon, but they came up with this very clever strategy, which was for Kate to learn on the job. So to go on official engagements with the Queen. If you want to learn, you might as well learn from the maestro.
Fortnum and Mason, London. Crowds and staff wait excitedly for what was one of Kate's first engagements with the Queen. She had been invited with Camilla to attend a visit to this historic store.
It's a wonderful scene. You've got the Queen, the Duchess of Cornwall, and the debutante, if you like, Kate. And I think it was very instructive.
Kate is at the back. She kind of has to do something that a lot of the lower rank royals have to do, which is to kind of linger and look graceful while you're doing it. Her flawless body language was very much a work in progress here. But we can see the Kate brand beginning to unfurl even this early on. She is very carefully not upstaging the Queen. Then she turns on a lot of the Kate charm. We can see the start of that Duchenne smile that she became so famous for.
In those early public engagements, you could see how well they were getting on. In fact, this visit became known as the Three Queens, Camilla and Kate learning from the master.
Having successfully navigated a public event as one of the Three Queens, the next step was for Kate to join Her Majesty and Prince Philip on an away day. In a later interview, Kate herself spoke candidly about how she felt that day.
The most memorable engagement for me, I suppose, was an away day to Leicester. I went without William, so I was rather apprehensive about that.
Body language expert Judy James can see how the Queen is helping Kate during the event.
The Queen's approach is to have the kind of body language of a mother duck, which is that you just carry on through the water and you put the new duckling at the back of the queue and kind of let them get on with it. But you can see that Kate is perhaps not quite fully confident here. We don't see the Queen fussing, we don't see her glancing, but it allows Kate the freedom to watch the Queen, to begin to learn about what being a Queen is all about, but without feeling that she's got royal eyes on her.
Kate explained the affection she felt for the Queen helping her out that day.
She was very supportive. The fact she took the time to make sure that I was happy and looked after for that particular occasion, which probably in everything that she's doing is very, very small element, shows just how caring she is, really.
That gesture, even though she had to focus on so much, that she also focused on Catherine's well-being, I think spoke volumes about their mutual respect and their relationship.
The most important picture of them was them sitting side by side. There's no doubt they had a good time together. You could see them laughing and smiling, and they were very relaxed. And I think that was quite a moment for the Queen to do that, because the Queen, on her away days, was basically launching her Jubilee, in which she would be the star, with the most enigmatic young woman that's just joined the royal family.
But I think what Queen Elizabeth learnt from Kate would be Kate's ability to be completely relaxed, because Kate comes from a completely different generation. And you could see as the Queen got older, she became more and more relaxed. The relaxing of the monarchy was something that probably the Queen took a leaf out of Kate's book, if you like.
In Leicester, the pair had attended a fashion show, And it was through their shared love of clothing that the Queen and Kate were also able to connect.
Queen Elizabeth II was always so well known for wearing bright colours because she was quite short in stature. She wore bright, bold colours, so she would always stand out in a crowd. And the Princess of Wales is known for wearing block colours, bright colours, especially recently. So definitely she's picked up on her fashion choices from Queen Elizabeth II.
I think it is a mark of the Queen's success of her mentorship of Kate that Kate has developed in the way she has. I think the Queen did a good job, if you like, not exactly moulding this young woman, but helping her find her feet and allowing her to develop a role at a gentle pace.
I think Catherine, of course, had an immense amount of respect for the late Queen, and I think in return, the Queen was always able to see the good that she was bringing to the family. That mutual respect, I think, served their relationship really well, and they grew closer throughout the years.
With help from the Queen, Kate was finding her feet. But in 2013, she would take on another, even more important role. As the world's cameras gathered outside a hospital in West London, broadcasters proclaimed exciting news.
This is BBC News at 11 o'clock. I'm Joanna Gosling, live at Buckingham Palace as the country marks the birth of the latest member of the royal family.
This is a family firm which has been in business for 1,000 years. The only thing a royal wife really has to do is provide an heir and a spare, and that's what Catherine did in 2013 with Prince George. So the Queen was obviously delighted that the succession was secure.
She didn't put a foot wrong. The Queen understood how difficult it was. Kate used to have desperately bad morning sickness, so she had a very, very difficult time. But she never complained, and she just got on with it as much as she could, and the Queen was very proud of her.
The late Queen displayed a very canny understanding of the human condition, and Kate was reliable, dependable, and I think the Queen cherished it. I think she felt, the monarchy is in good hands when we've got a young woman like her not so far down the line coming up behind us.
2 years later, in 2015, the whole family gathered on the Buckingham Palace balcony to watch the magnificent red arrows as part of the Trooping the Colour celebrations.
That Buckingham Palace balcony is always one of the most interesting moments of the entire royal year. Who's in, who's out, what position are they in? Everything relates to where the Queen is and where they are to the Queen. Kate was close to the Queen, as befits someone who will one day be Queen, but she didn't want to edge out some of the more longer established royal family members. Flash forward to 2022 and the Platinum Jubilee celebrations, and Kate is front and centre on that famous balcony. I think it tells us that the Queen relies on her very much. She was a constant feature in all those celebrations, and I think it just tells you how trusted she had become, that she was naturally at the centre of things.
Coming up, Kate and her family make the move to be closer to the Queen.
They were both, by that time, working as full-time royals, and they needed to have an appropriate base.
And the Queen honours Kate in a most significant and rare way.
Now, she's only the second granddaughter-in-law to ever receive this from a living monarch.
Since joining the royal family, Kate had grown close to Queen Elizabeth.
Right from the beginning, Kate actually had a lot in common personality-wise with Queen Elizabeth. They have something about them that has that kind of inner poise and has the capacity to lead and the capacity to kind of command respect.
As an outsider, Kate was touched by the effort the Queen had made to nurture her.
I think that Kate would have really appreciated the kindness and the attention that the Queen had given to her, because she knows, better than anyone how busy the Queen is. She put time aside to make Kate feel appreciated.
in turn, the Queen valued the relationship she had developed with her granddaughter-in-law.
Queen Elizabeth was very confident that the monarchy was in safe hands with William and Kate. There was very much this sense that the Queen very much wanted to show and to demonstrate that she really valued that relationship that she had with Kate on a personal level.
6 years after her marriage, having welcomed another child, Princess Charlotte, into the fold, Kate was about to make a big change to her life. In 2017, the family of 4 moved to London from their home in Norfolk.
I think that when Catherine and William moved to Kensington Palace and then later to Windsor, both moves showed a closer proximity, of course, to the monarch, which allowed them to see her more, allowed them to be more integrated into the firm.
The Queen wanted them to have apartment 1A Kensington Palace. They were both, by that time, working as full-time royals, and they needed to have an appropriate base, so that this was made available to them.
Relocating to London allowed Kate to be closer to the Queen, and the Queen to be closer to her great-grandchildren, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and eventually the youngest Cambridge, Prince Louis.
She delighted in the whole family being around her, coming in and out of the estate throughout the summers.
No one was more pleased to see Kate back than the Queen, because it was through Kate that the Queen got to see her Cambridge great-grandchildren, George, Charlotte and Louis. She was able to have the great-grandchildren come around for tea. It brought back memories of Diana taking the young William and Harry to tea with their granny 30 years earlier. So I think the Queen really enjoyed these encounters.
With Kate now living closer, the Queen was able to show her the Windsor way.
Well, the one philosophy we associate with the Queen, of course, is never complain, never explain.
The motto has been passed on to Catherine, that intense protection of privacy, of stoicism in the face of complaints, in the face of family drama, in the face of negative press. I think that sense of duty has also shown itself in Catherine, and she's also had the gentle guidance from the Queen in how to approach that role.
In a revealing interview, Kate explained how caring the Queen was as she guided her to be a better royal.
She's been very generous and not sort of being forceful at all in any of her views, but she's just, I feel she's been there sort of a gentle guidance really for me.
I think Kate's on-the-job education was guided by the Queen, watching what the Queen does and did, and occasionally asking for advice as well.
Given how amazing the Queen was, she would have watched and learned and tried to emulate.
Kate won't want to be Queen Elizabeth Mark II, but as a monarch, she will have been influenced by what she learned and picked up, sitting at the Queen's feet, so to speak. It's going to be very interesting.
Over the years, Queen Elizabeth's affection towards Kate had grown. In 2017, the Queen showed how important Kate was to her. The Queen awarded her an incredibly rare honour, the Royal Family Order.
This is an honour that's given to female members of the royal family. Now, she's only the second granddaughter-in-law to ever receive this from a living monarch.
Traditionally, only on those who have the higher ranks within the family. Camilla obviously received it. Sophie Wessex, who was another favourite of the Queen, received it. It's often seen on formal and state occasions.
2019, London. Kate and Queen Elizabeth carry out an engagement together, and their closeness is on display.
The visit to Bush House was significant because it was the first time that Kate and Queen Elizabeth had carried out an engagement, a public engagement, an outing that was just the two of them.
When they pulled up to the event, they were sharing a blanket spread over their knees in the car.
It kind of set the tone. It was a reminder, really, that coming to visit, we did have the Queen and the Duchess of Cambridge, as she was then, but we also had an elderly lady and her granddaughter-in-law.
At the event, you can see the special relationship between them, but you can also see how popular both of them are. They were a real power team, absolutely.
The Queen's respect and love for Kate was further cemented when she was awarded another very personal honour.
The Victorian Order is an order that was established so that the monarch could honour those that have served. The Queen was really honouring her public service and the service to the Crown.
Sometimes royal ladies have to wait a long time before they get that. For her to give it to Kate so early on was a great honour and just a signal of how much she thought of her.
I think undoubtedly showed that she was delighted that Catherine was part of the family and delighted with what she was trying to achieve.
In 2020, it was time for Kate to help the Queen, when the shocking announcement came that Britain was under siege by a deadly virus.
The coronavirus is the biggest threat this country has faced for decades.
As the UK battled its biggest crisis since World War II, a solemn Prime Minister gave the news that Britain was being forced into lockdown.
From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home.
The Queen sought to reassure a scared and confused nation with an inspirational address.
Together we are tackling this disease, and I want to reassure you that if we remain united and resolute, then we will overcome it.
Queen Elizabeth II was, I think, very savvy and very clever at being an emotional leader when we needed it. She was very aware of when that was needed during the COVID-19 pandemic. And there she was and gave that speech. And I think it reassured a lot of people in that difficult time.
We should take comfort that while we may have more still to endure, better days will return. We will be with our friends again. We will be with our families again. We will meet again.
We all remember those restrictions, and the Queen was absolutely adamant that they were going to follow them just as everybody else was. The Queen and Prince Philip were based at Windsor Castle during the various COVID lockdowns, and it became known as HMS Bubble. Kate and the kids were able to visit with the same stipulations as everybody else, groups of 6 and meeting outdoors and whatever.
She was doing what she could, but she did depend on people getting out and about still, banging the drum for the royal family, and no one was more visible in the early months of the whole COVID pandemic than Kate and, of course, William and their children.
As COVID gripped the nation, Brits showed their appreciation for the hard-working NHS workers with a weekly round of applause. And as this heartwarming video shows, Kate and her family were no exception.
Kate was very much front and centre with that. A fantastic moment for the royal family in showing that they were part of what was a national struggle for survival.
During her decades on the throne, it was rare for the Queen to rely on any of her children or grandchildren. But in Kate, she found a trusted and dutiful pair of hands.
Well, I think the Queen putting her trust in Kate and William meant she was totally confident that whatever they did or whatever they were able to do, they were going to do to the best of their ability.
9th of April 2021. TV channels were filled with sombre presenters announcing the tragic news that shook the royal family.
A short while ago, Buckingham Palace announced the death of His Royal Highness Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh.
Obviously, Philip had been ill for some time, and then he died in the April. So it wasn't a massive surprise, but it was, still a big shock that he had gone. And, the Queen often said she couldn't have done what she had done without him. And then she was on her own.
And she hadn't been alone since she first met Prince Philip. And they got married in 1947. So this is a long, long time to have him at your side. And I think the royal family realised how lonely she would be.
I've no doubt at all that William and Catherine, tried to be as supportive as they could in that sort of terrible moment.
She relied heavily on William and Kate to sort of maintain the glamour, maintain, the upside of the royal family when it was so sad at losing Philip.
As the family came to terms with their loss, Kate released a beautiful and intimate image.
One of the last photographs of Philip, because he had retired from public life, was taken by Kate, and it is really lovely and relaxed, you know, the Queen and Philip with their great-grandchildren on the sofa. And you only really get that with a family snap. She is a very good photographer, but it's informal and it's relaxed.
There's a huge amount of trust in allowing her to release those photographs to the world. So yeah, it's a very powerful show of intimacy.
Prince Philip's funeral took place in St. George's Chapel during COVID restrictions.
The fact that there were so many restrictions during COVID meant that he had to have a relatively small funeral.
On the day the nation mourned, one image stood out above all others.
Well, I think we all remember the funeral of Prince Philip and that desperately sad photograph of the late Queen sitting all on her own in St. George's Chapel.
The picture said everything. Here was the monarch on her own after all those years and having to bury her own husband.
Moving footage of the funeral showed how, even though there were restrictions in place, Kate was able to show the Queen that she was close to her heart.
You could see how sad Catherine was as well, but they really weren't allowed to be together.
Kate chose to wear a pair of earrings that were borrowed from Queen Elizabeth at Prince Philip's funeral.
The royals have always used jewellery to make statements about their feelings and to show that they appreciate events that are going on around them. It was kind of a way of reaching across the emptiness of the chapel, if you like, to say, I'm here, I'm thinking of you, and this is why I'm here, and what I'm wearing is a demonstration of my connection and my closeness to you.
Coming up, the Princess of Wales makes sure that Queen Elizabeth's legacy is kept alive.
She is somebody that really is the heartbeat of this modern monarchy, the mother of a future king, the wife of a future king, the beloved daughter-in-law of the king.
With a special bond forged over 14 years, Kate had become the Queen's confidant, and the Queen, Kate's greatest mentor.
I think the Queen grew to trust Kate. I don't think she trusts anyone on first impressions. You're all performing for this same show, and the show is all about supporting the Queen. But what is interesting with Kate and the Queen is the relationship seems to have got somewhat deeper than that. I think there was a genuine grandmotherly affection between the two.
The Queen taught Kate what it would take to become a true royal.
Catherine has said that the Queen was very supportive of her, especially as she was undertaking her first engagements without William. So I think that she influenced her by, in a way, teaching her many things just by example.
But on the 8th of September 2022, that special relationship came to an end. Sombre journalists across the world revealed the tragic news.
Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II has died.
A mezz'asta è morta la regina Elisabetta II.
The death of the Queen happened incredibly quickly. I mean, we know that 2 days before she was appointing a new Prime Minister, and then on the Thursday she died. So it was a big race for William to get up to Balmoral, and Catherine's job was to look after the children. They were at school and somebody had to be there for them.
She realised it was very, very important that at least one parent should be there to take them to their first day at a new school.
As Kate broke the news to her children, the nation mourned.
I think with the Queen's passing, not only Kate, but everybody lost somebody who was deeply special to the nation.
Kate had lost a mentor. She'd lost an elder woman that she really looked up to, and she knew that Prince William was going to have to really step up and help his father.
On the 19th of September 2022, at the Queen's state funeral, Kate, along with other members of the royal family, were grieving in public.
Kate was mourning the loss of somebody who she had developed a relationship with and a bond with over all those years, somebody who had been a really gentle guidance to her, a grandmother-in-law and also a great-grandmother to her children.
3 months later, at the yearly Royal Carol service, Kate honoured her mentor's legacy in a heartfelt social media video.
This year, we've invited hundreds of inspiring individuals to the service, those who showcase the power of connectedness and community values, allowing us to continue Her Majesty's tradition of recognising and thanking those who have gone above and beyond to support others. Her Majesty leaves with us an incredible legacy, and one that has deeply inspired many of us.
As one of a smaller group of royals, Kate will ensure that the legacy of the late Queen endures.
Kate knew what her grandmother-in-law wanted. She learned a great deal from the monarch, and it's not that she just learnt it, she wanted to carry it through because she admired it so much.
The royal family will evolve, of course it will, but I'm sure the first question any of them will ask themselves is, what would the Queen do? That's how the legacy will live on.
In 2024, the royals were hit by not one, but 2 tragic pieces of news. In February, it was announced that Charles would be undergoing cancer treatment.
Really changed the dynamic of the royal family. They are a young mum and dad. They want their children to see as much of them as possible, but they would have been now focused that at any time it could happen and they could be the King and Queen.
Then in March, after months of public concern, Kate made a shocking statement, leaving the country with bated breath.
In January, I underwent major abdominal surgery in London, and at the time, it was thought that my condition was non-cancerous. The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation found cancer had been present.
Kate's approach in her heartbreaking video message had echoes of the Queen's philosophy.
She came with that emotional intelligence, and the way that the Queen was kind of a grandmother figure to the nation, she kind of gave that sensible mum figure to the nation.
It had a slight feeling of the Queen's "we'll meet again" message during COVID.
At this time, I'm also thinking of all those whose lives have been affected by cancer.
She talked about other people. She talked about how grateful she was for all the messages of sympathy she'd had.
What it was very much Kate, very unique, very direct, very brave, and not afraid to tell the truth. There was no looking for sympathy. She just did it. I think it was very unique in the way that Catherine wanted to do it.
For everyone facing this disease, in whatever form, please do not lose faith or hope. You are not alone.
It was very powerful in the way that she delivered the message. So I think definitely that stoicism that would have been inspired by the Queen was on show in that video.
As Kate faces the most daunting challenge of her life, she may draw strength from her friendship with the Queen.
Kate gained terrific confidence from the Queen's appreciation of her.
I think the Queen was thrilled to have such a stable partner for her grandson and to have such a stable marriage. Her star power, her convening power, her calm nature, the Queen always appreciated that.
As we depart an era of stability under Queen Elizabeth II, her protégée Kate offers a steady hand that could secure the future of the crown.
We ask ourselves, what did Queen Elizabeth learn from Princess Kate? I think she would have learned a great deal about Kate's compassion.
She is somebody that really is the heartbeat of this modern monarchy, the mother of a future king, the wife of a future king, the beloved daughter-in-law of the king. So the Queen would have known that Catherine was a crucial part of this institution going forward.
The Queen does live on in Kate. She has become a regal operator, and I think her poise, her standing amid all those challenges is really reminiscent of the Queen, and so I do think that that legacy will live on.